Now, I'm going to do a very special tier list. And this tier list is going to be me ranking the specs from S tier to E tier based on the last thing I heard about the spec from a person, okay? That's how I'm ranking these specs, okay? The last thing I remember about the spec is from a dude, from just somebody that said it. That could have been somebody that was in my group randomly on beta. That could have been somebody in trade chat. That could have been somebody from my DMs letting me know something. It could have been from Twitter. It doesn't matter. This is how I'm ranking every single spec. So we're going to start with Affliction. Now, I've heard with Affliction, okay, that apparently Affliction is better than people think it's going to be, and that they're sandbagging and that they're hiding some shit. Now, I can't remember exactly where I got this from, but I remember hearing about it from somebody. So that's my source on this information, and hopefully that stands up. I'm going to put Affliction in A tier. I don't think it's quite S tier, but I think it's up there based on the information that I've clearly just given you. Where's Evoker? We'll figure something out for Evoker, okay? Now, Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage, I think, does well on single target. There was a guy in a dungeon I did on pre-patch, and he was playing an Arcane Blast build where he was going to do single target damage. I don't think he did very good single target damage. So I'm going to put him on C tier. Now I have Arms Warrior. I haven't seen anybody play Arms Warrior because I've only seen people play Fury Warrior. So I'm going to put Arms Warrior on at least B tier. The idea being that nobody's playing Arms Warrior, but Fury Warrior is like A tier. So Arms Warrior must be literally just behind Fury Warrior, but it's a dead spec. Because, oh wait, can I do a tier list? Okay. Can I do a tier list with Evokers? Okay. This is good. Okay, we're gonna go from S to D then. What did I do? So I did Arcane in A, Arms Warrior in B. Dude, I don't even know if that is Arms Warrior. That's maybe Fury Warrior. Nobody actually knows, I don't think. Arcane Mage. Dude, Arcane Mage isn't on here. Oh, it's on there. Arcane was C. Okay. Blind? Come on, dude. Speaking of blind, that brings me to Havoc or Vengeance. Again, I don't think anybody knows. Vengeance. So the last thing I know about Vengeance is that nobody wants it on pre-patch because they want Warrior. And I also know that Vengeance is apparently also unkillable, but I think somebody said something like the damage isn't as good as Warrior. So we're gonna put it on A tier. Okay? Blood DK. Blood DK, literally not heard a single person talking about this spec. So I'm gonna say it's probably at least B tier. Similar reasons to Arms Warrior. Frost DK, I've not seen anyone play it, but I've heard from somebody that I can't remember who it was that I think Frost DK is good, but not too good. So I'm going to put that on B tier. Unholy. I had an Unholy DK come into my group one time, and I think that it was not the best. It was okay. So I'm going to put it on C tier. I've only seen one Unholy on beta, and they did okay. So I think that's probably good enough a reason. Havoc Demon Hunter, this is S tier because I've seen people play it in beta. Boomkin. Actually, Boomkin is down here because I saw a tweet from a Boomkin, probably Tettles, probably Nagura, probably Billy, who the hell cares, that said that Boomkin needs a buff, and then they linked the meme where Tettles and Nagura are warming up their hands on Boomkin being in a dumpster. So I'm going to put Boomkin D tier, because Boomkin clearly needs a buff, right? Surely, right? ignoring if you ignore every single statistic that is currently coming out about Boomkin, raid balance, if you ignore damage meters in Mythic Plus and all of those things, then Boomkin is absolutely D tier. All you have to do is turn off your brain and you'll identify that is D tier. Now, Feral, I've heard from a lot of very, very accurate sources, people that understand Feral, people that didn't realize that we've had AoE rip in the game for 4 years. I've heard from these such sources that Feral Druid is imba OP giga. So we're gonna put it in S tier, because clearly those people know what they're talking about. And I will note with Feral Druid that Feral Druid is definitely not a spec that nobody's played in like 10 years, and that definitely doesn't have a really high skill cap, and then definitely also nobody knows what it does, and then also there's definitely not individuals that stream that make literal thousands of dollars every single month for being known for the spec that they play because it's popular, and they definitely aren't biased in wanting Feral Druid to be nerfed so that they don't have to try and learn it and potentially not be as good on Feral Druid as they are on, say, like Demon Hunter or Mage or Outlaw Rogue, and there's just a chance that maybe they won't excel on this thing, and maybe they might lose a little bit of money from it. So we're gonna put Feral Druid in S tier for all of those reasons, because none of those reasons exist, luckily, so that's why Feral is in S tier. Guardian Druid, I mean, I've seen a lot of tweets that it's not so good right now. Apparently Maul is on the GCD, and that's bad, apparently. Also Moonfire. So we're gonna put it in D tier. Resto Druid doesn't have PI, so it's basically... but I have played with Roybin, and apparently if you stand in F-Low, they do some good damage. So I'm going to put Resto Druid in A tier. That's where that's going to go. My dad, dude. My bad, dude. Thank you for the 3 months.
Just subscribed.
Now, this is Devastation Evoker. I've seen Preheat play it in beta raid testing, and he did, like, really, really well with it. And then I've also seen that he's got an interview with a Blizzard developer who designed Evoker. Therefore, I'm going to put Evoker in A tier. And I think that's understandable, right? Okay. Next, I've got the Heal Evoker. This also doesn't have PI, but it does have Bloodlust. Therefore, if your group doesn't have Bloodlust, but it has PI, then you take this one. So I'm going to put this one in A tier. BM Hunter. Now, BM Hunter, I'm gonna do at the same time that I do this one and where's the other one? This one. And where's the last one? This one. So these 4 specs here, you got BM Hunter, you got Assassin Rogue, you got MM Hunter, and you got Sub Rogue. Oh wait, whoops. No, I need to put all these down. Wait, I need to put them here. Okay. Wait, no, hold on. Wait, I've done this wrong. Okay, so BM Hunter is there, and also this one is here. Now wait, that one's there. So, you know what? This one's here as well. So Outlaw Rogue, everyone's playing Outlaw Rogue. Everyone's also playing BM Hunter. BM Hunter is basically a melee spec and also a range spec, but with none of the brain cells, okay? So that's why it's in S tier. Outlaw brings rogue utility and is a rogue. Oftentimes Shroud is good. So that they're both going up in S tier. But also, what I want to note about Sub and Assass and MM is that nobody knows what these things do. Oh, and Survival. I mean, I even forgot it off the tier list. So these 4 specs here, these are the alternatives to Rogue, Outlaw, and Hunter BM, okay? These are the 4 alternative specs. Now, the reason I'm putting them in B tier is because we don't actually have any data on how they're performing, because everybody is so obsessed on beta and doing big damage, big DPS in an environment that doesn't matter, that nobody knows if these are good or not. So we're going to assume that they're probably pretty good, and we're going to put them in B tier. They're probably, like, reasonably good. The problem for me is that if you know that BM Hunter and Outlaw Rogue are good right now, why would you play them? Go and play the other 2 specs of your class so that Blizzard can get more data, and then they can buff those things if they need number tuning. And you can also see relative to Outlaw and BM how good these specs are doing right now. But unfortunately, we don't have any of that data. I literally have not seen a Hunter or a Rogue on beta that isn't one of these 2 specs. So, very interesting there. Fire Mage. Fire Mage, I played with Gingy on, and he was playing Fire Mage, and he only lost on DPS to me by like a little bit. So I'm going to say that Fire Mage is... I'm going to put it at A tier, just below S tier. It's also a Mage. Now, Frost Mage, again, I think I saw somebody talk about it. I don't remember where it was. So... do we know anything about Frost, guys? Do we know anything about Frost? I think with Frost, they... do we know anything? It brings Mage? Frost does bring Mage, which is normally pretty good. Frost is nice? Okay, well, I heard from Mr. Watson in chat that Frost is nice, so we're going to put it in B tier. I think that's reasonable. That's the last thing I heard about Frost Mage. Mistweaver, I saw Mistweavers on... I saw Meg... not very happy, but also kind of happy. I think it does some decent damage, but it doesn't bring PI or Bloodlust, so we're probably going to put it on, like, B tier. I think it's okay right now, right, Mistweaver? Frost is looking good. Too late, guys. It's already in B tier. Brewmaster. Now, okay, Brewmaster, this is a contentious one. So, I've heard conflicting things with Brewmaster. Brewmaster apparently... now, the accuracy of Brewmaster is that it is really good in damage, but really struggles with surviving magic damage. And there is a lot of magic damage in Mythic Plus right now, according to Equinox, and this is where I'm getting that information, and that's from Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. But people on forums think that it's unkillable and that its damage is low. So we're actually going to put Brewmaster around about C tier, because I'm not going to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. I'm going to listen to people that posted on the forums instead. So we're going to put Brewmaster on C tier. Windwalker Monk. It got nerfed. It must be bad, right? No. It's actually still coincidentally a Windwalker. So I think they're going to be fine. That one I actually just pulled from my own brain. I've seen them on beta. They've been doing just fine. Holy Paladin oftentimes doesn't have a Bloodlust, oftentimes doesn't have PI, so we're going to put it in about B tier. I think that's reasonable. I think in general, all healers are in a similar state. They either bring PI or Bloodlust, or they're a Resto Shaman, and even though they bring Bloodlust, we still don't care about them. Resto Shaman did get buffed, though, so we're going to put it... I think it got a little bit of a damage buff, right? I saw a meme on Twitter that was a Resto Shaman talking to an Enhanced Shaman, and the Enhanced Shaman talks to the Resto Shaman and says, this is mine. I made this. And it's a 25% damage buff. And then the Resto Shaman takes it and says, you made this? And then the Enhanced Shaman says, I made this. And then the Resto Shaman holding the 25% damage buff says, I made this. So I'm going to assume... that Resto Shaman is okay right now. I'm going to put it at, like, B tier. Protection Paladin, I saw it, I played with it on beta, and it died a lot. Like, it died way too much. So I'm going to put it in C tier. I can't remember who played on it, but it was a very sturdy tank player, and they were scared on the Prot Paladin. So I'm going to put it in C tier. I think it's struggling with survivability a little bit. Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin actually surprisingly doing pretty well right now. I played with some Ret Paladins in beta heroic dungeons about 3 months ago, and back then it was like doing really, really well. So I'm going to put it in A tier because all of its damage comes from Consecration, which is apparently a bad thing, and Ret Paladins are upset about that, so we're going to put it in A tier. Nice. That was going to be a tricky one, but I think we figured that out. Yeah, guys, this is a tier list based on the most recent information I've heard from somebody, anybody literally out there, from forums, Twitter, somebody in trade chat. Doesn't matter. This is just the last thing I remember about each spec. And this is my tier list, okay? Based on that. Disc Priest, I've not really heard anyone talk about it. It brings PI, so we can put it in S tier. Holy Priest also brings PI. I think Automatic Jack was upset about evangelism or something, and then he was happy about it. It was 3 minutes, it was 1.5 minutes. I don't know which one of these specs has it, so I'm just gonna put both of them in S tier. Nice. Shadow also has PI, yeah, but it's also oftentimes a Shadow Priest. I've heard that it does decent damage from somebody in trade chat on the beta, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Elemental Shaman, I saw Petco talk about it and say that he thinks that in like, he thinks that Elemental Shaman, if it gets a buff, it'll be good. I think that's what he said. So I'm going to put it in B tier as well. That's a pretty reasonable thing to say, right? If it gets a buff, it might be good. I think that's probably fair. In-hand Shaman, they got a 25% nerf. According to everybody, this is really, really bad. Even though I've physically, with my eyes, seen them doing well in pre-patch and Dragonflight beta, we're going to put them in, like, C tier because somebody complained about it. Oh yeah, also Guilty as Feral mentioned in my stream that apparently somebody on the forums made a post saying that they don't like that Enhance got a 25% flat damage nerf because there was a massive amount of variation in the builds. And then since the nerf came, now there's less variation in Enhanced builds, which doesn't make any sense. But apparently because of that, now there's less build variety, which actually doesn't make any sense when you think about it, but it was on the forums, so it's a trustworthy source, so I'm going to put it in C tier. Also, I was really distracted by this ad, because I was looking at it, and I was like, this guy looks like Sergio Perez. And I was like, that's kind of funny. What's he doing on a bicycle? He has a car. But it is Sergio Perez, so that's like a fun little bonus to this tier list. Demo Warlock, I saw on beta absolutely doing monstrous amounts of damage, and I know that these assholes are sandbagging, so fuck Warlock players. I'm putting that in S tier. Destro, I'm still upset about what happened to you guys in Shadowlands, so I'm also gonna put this in like A tier. You can't escape me. Fury, I think, is in A tier. I played some keys with Dan War, and Dan War is actually doing pretty well on it, and also it just got a buff. So I'm going to put A for Fury Warrior. Protection Warrior apparently is good. I've heard whispers that it might be good right now. So, but have I heard anything else about Prot Warrior? No, I think I've just heard that it's pretty good. So I'm going to put it in S tier. Low damage? No, no, I think this is fine. Oh yeah, actually I did just do a dungeon with a Prot Warrior, and I died in a Gambit because the Warrior didn't have aggro within the first 10 seconds. And then also I died in... Oh yeah. I just did a Gambit. And then a Warrior, he got feared on the first boss because he attacked into the shield, so then I died to melee aggro. So I'm actually going to put this in like B tier because I died in a dungeon, like 2 dungeons today because of Warriors. So we're going to put it in B tier. And that's my tier list, guys. This is beta tier list. Sure. Yeah, sure. But that concludes my tier list. Once again, the reason that I made this tier list is because it will make me money on YouTube, and if I upload it, it might get like 50,000 views, which will equate to around about £100, more or less. And with that £100, I'm gonna buy my girlfriend her Christmas present. So that's why I've made this tier list. Hopefully, you guys appreciate it. Thanks for